Today, California became the latest state to require a 21-day quarantine for travelers who've had contact with Ebola patients in West Africa. A CBS News poll out tonight finds that 80% of Americans support the quarantine idea. One who does not is a nurse who is threatening the state of Maine with legal action if it doesn't lift the quarantine against her. Here's Michelle Miller.
Outside Casey Hickox's home in Maine today, a police car stood guard, and later a state health official checked in on her. Maine's Governor Paul LePage is on the record saying he's working within the Department of Health and Human Services to seek legal authority to enforce the quarantine. After spending this weekend in a New Jersey hospital confined to a sealed tent, Hickox says she'll fight any such action and will end her voluntary quarantine by tomorrow. Stephen Hyman is one of her attorneys.
For the sake of playing it safe, why not just adhere to the quarantine?
All I hear is, why don't you? Because maybe I'm afraid. Not that maybe the facts or science say you will catch the disease.
Ryan Boyko returned from his trip to Liberia 3 weeks ago. He worked on medical computer systems having no direct contact with Ebola patients. After developing a low-grade fever, he went to the hospital, but tested negative for the virus 2 times. Still, he's under a mandatory quarantine in Connecticut. There's even a police officer parked outside his home as well. We spoke to him via Skype.
It makes me feel criminalized. Not trusted. I had clearly been willing to let go of my personal freedom for some days when it made sense.
Presently, 9 states have issued their own guidelines that call for some sort of mandatory quarantine or a form of quarantine for people returning from West Africa who had direct contact with an Ebola patient. Now, governors such as New Jersey's Chris Christie have said ultimately they have the responsibility to protect the public health and the public safety of the people of their state.
Michelle, thank you, and we will see more of your interview with Ryan Boyko tomorrow, first thing on CBS This Morning.